Yo guys, welcome to the first episode of the Hide Sounds podcast. Today we're joined by Drew and Jacob from Champkind.
Hello.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing? You alright?
These guys were here about a week ago to be in the first episode of our Hide Sounds live sessions. Smashed it. Did really well.
Really good job.
You played a song on there which I absolutely I'm loving at the moment, and everyone I've showed, like I said to you earlier, they're really vibing with it.
Awesome.
Tell me about it. In fact, we'll go back. We'll talk about how you guys met as a band.
Well, me and Drew, we've kind of known each other for quite some time now.
5 or 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think the first time I met Jacob was at a bar which is no longer around in Headingley called Bar Below. Mm-hmm. And they used to do a mic night. That's how kind of we all know each other, really, just from like the jam circuit and mic nights in general around the Leeds area. And the first time I met Jacob, I think, was probably in 2015 or 2016. I was in like a little acoustic two-piece myself at the time. And Bar Below was a basement cellar bar. So just like going down the stairs and could hear this dude doing some improv rap about dairy products and cows and milk and stuff. And it turned out it was this guy.
All right, so Jacob used to rap.
He liked doing like the old like give me 3 words in the crowd.
Oh, really? Really?
And then just started doing it. So yeah, I came downstairs to hear some guy doing like some lactose intolerant cheese based
Just
rap.
off your head as well.
Yeah.
Do you still remember any of it?
That specific night's a bit kind of hazy. Not gonna lie, but yeah, no, it used to be like a little kind of gimmick I did. I still enjoy kind of freestyle rapping just for jokes and stuff like that. That's what we used to do back in uni, just kind of just for a bit of fun, really.
But me and you have been known to do that a few times, haven't we?
Yeah, I don't like to bring that up. Yeah, a few nights.
Whenever we had a few and we're a bit bored.
We used to.
We'll put a tight beat on and just.
Yeah, well, me
me
and Dom used to go to a quiz night in Driglington.
Okay.
And we'd have a few pints, and then the night would end in the car park, and
the McDonald's car park.
The McDonald's car park specifically, and we'd make diss tracks on our notes on our phone. Yeah. I don't want to repeat any of them.
We'd be in the McDonald's writing the diss tracks on the notes app, and then we're going to the car park and play it through a speaker, and just the phone speaker, and then.
Yeah,
just like all,
and then we'd get like one of our mates to like see who won.
Yeah, but it'd be like an 8 mile situation.
Yeah, I was just like collectively thinking like, this is going on. Don't flop this.
Yeah.
It's some world star material.
I'm pretty sure I've still got some of them bars in my notes, but we won't bring them ones up.
Yeah. Similar for Drew, like obviously, then met Drew at that open mic night, heard him sing at that duo. In that duo at the time, obviously realised like, this guy's pretty got something about him singing wise. I think we just kind of became friends since then and started writing together, and we never really had kind of it instantly in mind that we need to make a project together. We just kind of started writing together for fun more than anything. We eventually this is quite a funny story, we ended up entering this Headingley's Got Talent.
All right, yeah.
And absolutely got had over because, I don't know. Do you want to tell the story?
Can we swear?
Yeah, of course.
Because it was absolute bullshit that we didn't win. I've got to say, like, we got through the first round. We did well. You know, it was like usual.
What, so we're just Jacob on guitar and then you singing? Or?
We were, so the old duo that I used to be in, that other member
Plus
with Jacob with one other person. So we made a 4-piece. We called ourselves the Dirty White Rugs.
All right.
And all the Cowboy Builders, in fact, we took 2 names, didn't we? We went by Cowboy Builders because we do half a job. But then we thought we'll go Dirty White Rugs instead.
I like that one.
So it was like a 2-leg thing, you know, like 5 entrants at the Box in Headingley, if you know the bar.
The Box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played at the Box, actually.
Nice
me and Harry, yeah. Is it like a sports...
sports bar, like 2 floors.
Yeah, it's nice
quite
in there.
a large bar, to be
it
honest.
is, yeah.
No, it's really nice in there.
But we played that and like got through the first round and then got to the final. And then obviously the final was all the 5 weeks previous, each week's winner. So we're in there with like 5 of the week's winners. And we did an original, I think, didn't we, for the final, actually? We wrote an original.
I think so.
Wrote an original for the occasion.
Yeah.
We were the only people to do that. Everyone else was kind of like, I think, was everyone else a musician? There was one guy who like doing like opera to, you know, let's say Les Miserables, MP3 was playing. And then he was karaoke in that. Long story short, he won.
Really?
which we found questionable. You know, we took all this
Yeah.
effort, we made an original song. We
Yeah.
seemed to. There was judges as well. There were 3 judges, and
I think why it was, it's not that we didn't win, that's not like why it was salty, but it was because like
we sound so
we
salty.
had
No, I get that. I
It's a
feel
bad
like
way.
that's usually how talent shows work. Like the best people never win.
But we not to say we were like the best, but the way the voting system works, so we got to the final 3 on stage and there was 3 judges. So one judge voted one guy, the like opera guy, the other judge voted the comedian.
Yeah.
And then they were like, right, so by default you guys now can't win. And we were just like, what? That's a
Right,
bit strange.
and the last judge actually voted for us as well.
That's
Yeah, it
weird.
was
like,
a bit-
I
it was a
would-
bit
So that's
strange.
weird.
It was a
So
bit-
if the last judge would have voted first, you guys would have
It
been.
would surely be one vote apiece.
Wait, so
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was, it was
It would have had
3
to have-
judges
Three
judging
judges.
5 acts.
3 judges judging the final 3 of
Oh,
the
the final-
5.
oh,
So
right,
we got
okay.
through to the
No,
final
right.
final. And
Right,
then like,
so-
yeah, after the 2 judges' votes, the MC was just like, okay, so you de facto cannot win now.
the
It's
fuck?
like, there's one more
Really?
judge
Yeah,
who
so-
wants to
Yeah.
vote us.
But that's not the peak
So
of our
solid.
no,
careers
no,
anyway.
no. Yeah, I won't
So,
worry about that.
Yes, but I think that's kind of how we sort of built our rapport and kind of did all that. And then, yeah, we've just been kind of writing songs for years. So a lot of the songs off the EP that we're releasing is kind of like sort of a mixture of old ideas that have been rehashed, but also we've obviously brought in Sam and Joe,
Yeah.
who have put their spin on it because they're obviously great musicians in their own right. So it's kind of like we've obviously already had this rapport and this writing together, and then they've come in and kind of
Put their stamp on it.
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
created a pretty cool formula.
Yeah,
to be
that's
fair.
great. And I've listened to the tracks you've sent me a few weeks back, and like, yeah, can't fault them at all.
Oh, thank you.
Where did the inspiration from? I'm going back to it because I like the song Castaway. Where did it?
Castaway tune. So the Castaway song.
Did you write that together, or was that something? Do you usually like one of you guys will write something, come back and be able to show the band, or will you like do it together in a practice room?
Yeah, the formula's a bit loose, I suppose, at the moment. I think we all.
Because you haven't been together long, have you?
Yeah, as a
No.
full band, I think we jammed for the first time in, was it November last year? So 2022, November. So we've been a band for like 5 months or something.
Yeah.
We've had about probably 4 jams, in all honesty. But the very first jam, I wrote the bare bone lyrical structure of Castaway and a couple of the others which we've recorded for the EP. But it's basically an amalgamation of many things.
Yeah.
Like Jacob was saying then, like some of the songs have been in the locker for a few years, you know, like the bare bone
Yeah.
ideas. So Castaway, for example, I think I've had that float in my head for I don't know, probably since 2018 or something.
Really.
And that was just a bare structure then,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a band project at that time, and I don't know if you ever get that feeling, but if you write a song, or sometimes you have it in your head like, oh, there should be an orchestra there, or like I can hear this thing happening in this sound, but obviously it's just me in my bedroom on a guitar.
Yeah.
I can't make that clarinet sound.
Yeah.
So got a band together, and then Castaway
Showing
kind of
it.
took its
Yeah.
It already had
Yeah.
legs, it could walk, but
Yeah.
helped make it run basically.
Yeah, I think as well, we kind of, the reason why we write so good together is because we have different kind of skills. Because I feel like Drew's way more of a lyricist than I am in terms of writing interesting lyrics. But I think my personal strong point is refining kind of catchy melodies and song structures and stuff like that. Internally, I do kind of have high sort of ambitions. I think we all do, really. We all kind of want it to be right, and
Yeah.
we want to release good music, and that's just kind of the general
Yeah,
plan,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Is just to release some good songs,
Yeah.
really.
Would you say a lot of the songs on the EP have a sort of similar vibe to Castaway, or have you got a few? That
Yeah, because
I
Dom
think,
hasn't actually heard any of them yet, have you?
No, I've only heard Castaway
No.
and the Electric Field cover, but
I think at this moment we're kind of going for a bit of a, once again, because we've only really jammed 7 or so times in the 6 months we've been together, we're kind of putting together a bit of an eclectic mix, if anything. So Castaway is its own song, and then we've got a song called Would You Rather, which I suppose is more rock, alt rock.
Yeah, I think all the songs kind of tie together in a sense of like, I think Drew's voice is very distinctive. Is that the right
There's
word?
there's a common thread that we got running through the songs, but we're not going for the same genre.
Yeah.
Because I suppose we're still kind of refining what we
Yeah.
want our genre to
That
be.
makes sense, yeah.
So we've got kind of funk elements, and then we've also got alt rock elements. So yeah, a bit of everything, to be honest. Like the
A
writing,
bit of a mixed bag.
the writing process is very much loose at this moment in time. We're not going in with the same structure every time. So like
Yeah.
I said, with Castaway, I've had that in my head for a few years.
Yeah.
And then just threw it at the wall, and we'd see what would stick with a
Yeah.
bass and some drums.
Yeah, well,
slapped
I
on
feel
as
as a
well.
band, it takes some people years to figure out the sound. Like for me, I've been making music, like I've been writing for like 7 or so years, and I feel like only just now I'm honing in on a sound that I'm actually happy with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a refined product.
Yeah, and it's a bit harder when you're in a band because what you like or what you are set on might be different to what one of the other guys are set on. So it's like
for
it's
sure,
constantly
for sure.
changing and evolving, which is why bands, when they're releasing albums, they get one that's like a rock album, then next one's a pop album. So it's like, yeah, and it's like me and Harry have had this conversation the other day. It's difficult when you're like honing on a genre and you release music and you start to pick up that traction, and then you want to change it because it's like people very much like what they know, and then it's like trying to go in and do something else. It's like you're scared to lose that audience that you've already got. People just like what they know, which is why, like I was saying to you outside, the Castaway song, it was very Oasis inspired, and you can tell that, but it's very original as well. Like the lyrics, everything about it, like is brilliant.
It's, like it's very familiar.
But it's familiar, and I think you've proper nailed that. I'm not a expert, but
It took you that long to
I couldn't think of the word.
of the word
I'm not an expert, but I feel like people will listen to that and think, they'll just click with it straight away.
Oh, yeah,
Appreciate
100%,
that.
yeah, I agree.
I think on the other hand as well, so the EP is called Mojo, and that's named after the top track, which is also called Mojo. So
Yeah, why Mojo? What does Mojo mean?
So
it's what Austin Powers lost in the film, isn't it?
That's it.
Oh, it's about Austin Powers.
but it's
I've
actually,
I've never seen Austin Powers.
I don't think you can get it.
No, and yeah, well, I've watched little bits of it. I don't think I was a fan when I.
Oh man,
But I know it's very hit or miss with some people. But so you love it,
I love Austin
and you
Powers.
wrote? Did you write the lyrics?
No, this is
So-
Jacob wrote Mojo.
yeah. So
Did
that
you?
Inspo.
So you
again,
write lyrics
back
as
to
well
the-
then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like back to the kind of writing process. So like I feel like, well, the hook for Mojo I've had for ages, but then obviously Drew being a lyricist, I kind of brought that to Drew to like refine that into a full song. But yeah, the story behind Mojo's a relatively interesting one. Well, that's for the people to decide, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Tell us.
yeah. It was actually based on a Tyson Fury quote. So I'm a sort of casual combat sports fan, and I think it was when Tyson Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder for the second time.
Right.
He was in an interview, and the interviewer said something about like, "Oh, so you've beat Deontay Wilder. How do you feel about X, Y, and Z?" And he said, I'm not going to try to do an impression of him, but he said, I didn't just beat him. I've got his mojo. No, I stole his mojo, and I've still got it in my pocket. And I just thought that's a really cool phrase.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that just really stood out to me. So I kind of, thought about it. And the whole hook is kind of based on that. And when you know that now, if you listen to the song, the lyrics are like, you might be thunder. You might. Oh no, sorry. You might be lightning, but I'm the thunder. It's all based on Deontay Wilder. You think you're the one bang king, but I've got your number. I've got your mojo in my pocket. And there's nothing you can do about
That's
it.
interesting.
It's a song of anything you can do, I can do better.
No, for
So
sure,
did
for
you
sure.
tell him how to sing it then, or did he take them lyrics and run with it?
So for that one specifically, I think I was kind of a driving force behind that one in terms of like the hooky part. So I think that is my kind of
the cadence in the hook when we were recording. Jacob was very. I think there was a good 10, 15 takes just to get the cadence right on the specific word, because like you said, Jacob is perfectionist about these things. Not a bad thing at all, obviously. No. Very important.
But in terms of the verses, and then obviously Drew suggested we need some kind of middle eight section, a breakdown, things like that, and some of the verse lyrics. I feel like the song wouldn't have become the song without having written it with Drew, if that makes sense. So I think that's why we make a good team in terms of writing, because we both have different attributes that complement one another. Because I think often Drew as well, because if you don't mind me saying, you're not very music theory kind of driven, but that's almost a blessing in disguise, because he'll come out with an out there melody that's a bit like, this needs pulling in a little bit, but then I use my kind of musical knowledge to kind of bring that back down into something maybe slightly more refined, and it just kind of works as a process. Well, it has thus far.
And we do on from that as well, I think,
in the archives as well.
As a whole band, that is also how the formula works as well, because the very first jam we had Castaway, like I had, the bare bone structure in my head. Jacob had Mojo. And I think we had one more as well. But after the first jam, we did a 2-hour jam, I think it was, and we ended up coming out with 7 bare bone structures of songs, which like,
so you knew you guys worked.
It seemed like something gelled, because I'm sure in your own experience as well, like you said, like you can be in bands with lots of people, you can try and make things happen with lots of people, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The friction. You can't explain it sometimes, and you also can't explain how it flows so easy, and the rapport is just where it is.
Yeah, definitely.
But with our first jam, it just seemed like the rapport was, for whatever reason, really efficient, and we just built on from that, and we're riding that wave basically.
Great stuff.
And I know obviously we're on the podcast, we're talking about ourselves quite a lot, but to mention the other boys, like Sam is like, it's understated how he's just such a good drummer. And he's got such a good sense of song structure as well, and young as well, just turned 20. So if he keeps going on the trajectory he's going, and then same with Joe, like his bass playing's very unique, he's very high level, he's got a great understanding of song structure as well. So in a way, we're kind of lucky to have them boys on board.
You're all great, great.
When you can all
and talented boys.
When you can all like subconsciously trust each other. It's so important. Like I've been in bands before. Like I remember being in a band a while back, and we went through drummers. Every other.
I feel like drummers are hard to find.
And drummers are like the hardest mythical beast to unearth. And then like we found a new drummer after going through about 4 of them in the space of a month. And this guy turns up for a jam, and we were doing Brainstorm. And he was like, "Oh, guys, I've been listening to Brainstorm. I've not got it exactly like it is, but I've got my own take on it." And as soon as he said that, we all looked at each other like, "Oh God, we're in trouble."
Well, this in another band then,
this is a band from years ago. But I'm just like, as an example of like, if the rapport isn't working, then it's just not working. But with us, we all kind of just trust each other. Well, Brainstorm didn't sound like Brainstorm, put it that way.
Were it not how you wanted it to sound?
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he'd listened to Brainstorm.
And how do you let those people down? How do you say, look, you didn't make it.
You didn't make the cut,
bro.
We did like the odd gig.
We'll be in touch.
It's one of them ones.
The gigs just magically dried up, basically. Honestly,
funny how that works.
We've pulled them cards out a few times. But we'll let you know.
It's good that the 4 of you have managed to like build up such a rapport as a band. Like, say you've only been jamming for 7 months. The fact that because the way you're saying it, you sound quite confident in all of your own abilities, and the fact that that's come together in such a small window of time it's
fundamental, man. Like in any line of business, isn't it? Like if you're in a team of whatever work you're doing, if there's one person who isn't pulling the weight, then obviously inevitably it drags your job sector down. Like everyone else gets a bit snipey, and it all gets a bit out of hand fast.
You've all got to have that same vision, and that same drive.
Because it's all good getting along as friends, but creatively and professionally if you're not on the same level.
Precisely.
You might as well just.
And it's hard. It's hard to find like in everybody.
About that as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, like
for sure.
especially like I feel like a band for band members is quite a lot of people to all have on that
Keep
same
happy
page.
at once.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So like it's very like you guys are fortunate to have that because like I'm sure you see bands come and go all the time, especially in like the Leeds scene, and that's usually just because like so many people just aren't like on that wave, or like they've got other priorities, they've got uni, they've got girlfriends. It's like so many other things like in their lives. But for me, I've always like whatever I've done with music, it's always been like that's what comes first in my life. And if that's what you want to do, that's how it's got to be.
For as long as I've known you,
that's all I've really done. Yeah.
Like he's not just saying it; it's true.
Yeah.
Same with us. I think it's getting to the point where it's kind of do or die. Really, it's like I'm not. I don't want to sound any particular way, but I'm really not trying to mess about in music. This is what
you want to do for the rest of your life.
That's the best mindset you can have. Going into it, because if you're not going for it, then you're not trying it.
I think as well, one thing I've come to learn over the years is that lots of people like the idea of making it, whatever that means. You have to define what you mean by making it. That's a whole nother 5-hour conversation. But lots of people say that they want to make it, but really deep down, I don't think they really, really want it because
of how hard it is.
Yeah, it's hard, and you have to. I'm a believer of you can literally do anything in life. Like if you wanted to be a boxer or an MMA fighter, or you wanted to climb Mount Everest, it's possible. But do you really, really want to do that? And if you do, it's possible. But lots of people like the idea of
100%.
Oh, it'd be cool to climb Everest, but are you ready to train for a year? And like, do this, do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like that mountain of like making it, like you said, define what making it is. To me, I feel like the thought of making it now has shifted a little bit in my head. Like now, I would class myself as made it. If like I can make a living from making my music. Like you said, I don't think people realise that mountain, and there's so much competition as well, but there's people giving up all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like the older I'm getting, like obviously I still have that mindset of like push, I can do it.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Like naturally other things start to come into your life, and like I've just left my job, and my priorities now is making money every month through whatever I'm doing. Priority is shifted. And that's what happens in so many people's lives. And then like, before you know it, you're like 40, 50, you've got a kid, you're married, and then it's just a natural thing that happens. And
I think people think though it is a young man's game. Like if you're not Justin Bieber by age 20.
I used to think like that,
but
bro.
I don't think, especially nowadays, you could be 90 years old and pop off on TikTok and make a living.
Yeah, I always used to, that's another thing. Like I used to think if I haven't like made it by 20, like you said, 20, like there's no point anymore. But now, like it shifted so much from in the past 10 years. Like you can, like you said, you can literally
like how you were saying, it's like you were probably just about to say, the age now of like anybody can make anything and anybody can see it.
I think it's become more about the product as well now.
Definitely.
Like the songs that come about now is that I don't feel like you know the artist as much as you know the songs anymore.
No.
Well, if you heard a great song on the radio that you like just loved it and you were like, I need
it doesn't
to
matter
listen
how
to
old
this.
that person is.
Yeah, you wouldn't care really.
Yeah.
Like who's that guy? C60?
Yeah. Well,
is that what it's called?
He is a guy.
Yeah, C6.
Yeah, C60.
He made it at like age 60.
Yeah.
Playing big festivals.
Yeah.
But it's just because his music is great.
Yeah.
So it's like... Yeah.
TikTok, since TikTok has come around, it's just changed everything.
Yeah.
And now you're like getting people.
It's opened up such a platform just for exposure for anything.
But I feel like it's turning a lot of people famous that shouldn't be famous now.
Yeah.
like you guys were at Wakey Wines today.
Are we celebrities now?
Yeah, well, I was more saying Wakey Wines, like he's
celebrities.
become like. I mean, that could be your claim to fame. Good, like you step foot in
We're a
Wakey Wines.
depressing claim to fame.
You almost bought some pride.
It's a way to start.
Yeah, like
the beginning.
That guy. Like I were down in Brighton this weekend with Harry, and people would come up to us and be like, "Where are you guys from?" And I'd be like, Wakefield. And they'd be like,
Wakey Wines?
No, actually, quite a lot of people were like, Wakefield, never heard of it. And then we'd go Wakey Wines and they'd be like, oh, bro. It's like, yeah, I know, Wakey.
Because before, whenever because nobody really knows, unless you're from around here, nobody knows where Wakefield is.
No.
So before, when you'd say you're from Wakefield, and people would go, oh, where's that? The usual go-to is, oh, it's near Leeds. And then people would be like, oh, yeah, I know. But now, like you're saying, you can just say Wakey Wines.
Yeah.
But that's the thing as well, like, things can change so quickly as well in terms of, like, there used to be a time, and I'm not an expert on this, but where, like, for example, rappers from the north having that accent were just not, like, respected by the industry. But then now you've got your H's and your Bugsy Malones, and it used to be if you're not from London...
Yeah.
Like you're just not accepted within the grime culture, or it's very niche or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to make it into a grime.
No, but I feel like that's same with like country music as well now. Like I'm dabbling with like the country music sort of stuff. And it's like, if you're not American, you can't do country, or you're not from like Texas. But like now it's becoming really big over here, I think. And like 5 years ago or however many years ago, people like I think it were a bit like, I don't know.
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think it's huge, like the influx of like specifically country music as well.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people.
I love country music.
I've always liked it. I prefer the older, like, the classics.
Yeah.
But some of the new stuff is good.
Like
Who's a modern day
Luke Combs is like coming on the scene.
Luke Combs is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think he must have toured recently around.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I heard like 4 people from 4 different sort of social circles saying, "Oh, I'm seeing Luke Combs at the weekend." Like, how is everybody gone from not knowing anything about country music to now everybody that I know and their dog is going to go see Luke Combs?
Yeah,
I think it's crazy just how fast it's grown, and I feel like that might be in part of like, maybe in part of like TikTok as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just people sharing it, people clicking on the sounds, and it's growing and growing.
Yeah. TikTok's got a lot to answer for.
But I think following on from
shout out
that,
to Luke Combs.
Let's get Luke Combs on.
So if you are, say, a country artist from the UK, but there's no market, but that is authentically you, I think the takeaway from what you just said is just keep plugging away at that, because eventually the world will make space for you, and then even if it doesn't, at least you've been yourself and made the art that you wanted to make. Rather
that
than
is like first and foremost, and I've realized that more like recently. Like, as long as you're enjoying what you're making and you're putting it out, then that's all you can. Like, there's no point making something you hate, because I feel like the music industry and the creative industry is like, it's all about you and like bringing out you. And if you're not doing that, and you're just chasing this thing that's fame and success, then you're not going to end up, once you've got there, if you ever do get there, I don't feel like you're ever going to be truly happy or satisfied.
And the thing is as well that like trends and public interest change on a dime now.
Yeah.
So 1 minute this thing can be popular, and then the next it's like gone, and you don't hear about it, and then somebody will bring it up, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember when everybody was into that for however long. So it's, even if you're doing something and you're persisting at it and it's not doing it because there's no interest there, just with the way things are now, public interest and just trends and stuff, it just changes all the time. So
just got to follow the curve, basically.
Yeah, you just got to follow the curve. It's just a matter of keeping up.
Things go in cycles as well. Like, I remember when I first went to uni, I had a lot of mates that were kind of like guitar players, and then everyone kind of switched over to being a DJ and just thought like that's what. But in my mind, I was thinking kind of like, if I just keep going with the guitar, like things just come round in full circles. Like, who knows, there might be hippie Woodstock festivals in 10 years time, and that's like the new thing. Like, you just never know. So if you just kind of you just got to do you, basically, I think.
And I think, speaking of TikTok and Reels, we had a brief conversation when Dom got in, and I was saying about, I saw a reel of Jacob on Instagram the other day, and were you in Leeds?
Yeah.
You're in Leeds, and he went up to a busker and like, well, you tell the story because Dom hadn't heard it.
No, yeah,
we were about to tell it, and I was like, save it for the
save
podcast.
it,
But now we're on TikTok and Reels.
Yeah, so I am very kind of new to Reels, but I'm always thinking of ideas to try and, gain a bit of traction and entertain people. And yeah, one recent idea I've had is to basically sneak around town, find a busker, and then tactically sneak behind them with my busking amp. And then I've got my girlfriend who obviously helps me film and everything like that. Shout out to Malika. But yeah, so I'm like, the plan is to kind of come up from behind them, interrupt their set with just like a guitar solo, which is a bit obnoxious, but I'm sure like...
No, but I think that takes skill, that like to be able to hear the key, and then the biggest thing I was thinking is like, I could never do that. I'm like shocking with improvisation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's a lot of talent alone, being able to hear that and then just rocking and just.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It takes some balls as well, just to join in, and because I like the sound of that idea. You'll have to show me. What
I don't feel like anybody does that either.
No, that's what I mean. I've never seen that. But
do you post them on TikTok?
So I try to basically
you will be
post on pretty much every. If I ever make a reel, and again I'm kind of new to it, getting better, but I try to post them on TikTok, Instagram, that automatically post to Facebook, and then also YouTube Shorts, which for the record, I think YouTube Shorts is actually going to be one of the most fruitful over the next couple years, because they're obviously trying to rival TikTok. So I think YouTube Shorts is kind of where it's going to be at. That's just my 2 cents.
YouTube always wins.
Yeah.
YouTube only gets stronger.
Yeah.
The product.
Well, yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, they're doing everything out there.
But there is a saying as well, which I try to live by, which is fortune favors the brave. So if you can just do what someone else isn't going to do, that in of itself is going to set you apart. So, I mean, yeah, like I did have another, you can't go too far. Like I don't want to be known as like a douchebag, to cut a long story short, but I want to do things where it's like on the edge of like,
you want that shock factor.
Yeah, and stuff that nobody else would really do.
Yeah.
Like, I know I wouldn't do that. But that's because I probably wouldn't have the confidence to I probably wouldn't have the confidence to just go up and do it. So for you to like be able to go up and do that, like that's
cool.
there's probably a lot of people like me that like yeah, I can go on a stage and stuff like that, but like it's different when you're in public. You're doing it in front of people, you're filming a TikTok, you're doing it to some guy you don't know. So it's like a lot of people wouldn't do that, and that's good that you're like the guy that does it.
But it's definitely a fine line. Like I know there's a few guys that have come up just being sort of like clout chasers, doing ridiculous, jumping over the counter at McDonald's. I don't want to do anything like that, because fundamentally, like that's just not.
No,
in
your
my
video
character.
would definitely like respectful.
Well, because by the sounds of it, you're doing that sort of thing, but with music.
Yeah,
they're just doing it just for, a cheap laugh or a reaction. Or
I think it helps the busker as well, potentially. Obviously, ask them afterwards, are you happy to be in a reel? If they say yes, it's kind of cross promotion, and I think people are kind of stronger in numbers in general, just in the creative space. So
yeah,
I think that one is a pretty good idea. I've had a couple more sort of questionable ones, but I need to think about them a little bit.
And like hone in on them.
Yeah. Meditate on that a little bit, but
yeah. Where'd the name Champkind come from?
It's got,
it reminds me of like mankind. Is that where it kind of came from?
It didn't, no, but that's the first
I feel
time
like
you referenced that.
I feel like Dirty White Rugs were a good band name. I like Champkind as a band name. And you did the other one. What the other one?
Cowboy Builders.
Yeah.
I really that's a great name.
Yeah, so who's the
I think that'll be the
behind
function
that name?
cover.
Who?
That'll be the function cover name. Champkind came about, I think, in the very first jam we had. Once again, everything happened in that jam, mate. It's kicking off.
Yeah.
Crazy 2 hours. We both have... You got a Gretsch as well, don't you?
Yeah.
We both have Gretsch guitars with the Bigsby whammy bars. So we were both just going proper ham on the whammy.
Yeah, yeah.
And just going whammy with the whammy bar.
Right.
And then the bassist was like, oh, whammy.
Was this the first time the bassist ever met you guys?
First time probably I spoke to him properly.
And you were just there going, whammy. He's just
It's a great first
like,
impression.
yeah, I'm
But
going
the
to be in a
phrase-
band with you.
But the phrase whammy
Yeah.
is a phrase used by the character Champkind in the film Anchorman.
I've
If you
seen
know
that one,
the sports correspondent.
Yeah,
with
I
the-
haven't seen it in
and
years.
he's always like,
but
whammy.
Right,
So
yeah.
that was it. It just came about from us doing that on his whammies. And then he
Oh,
was
wow.
like, oh, whammy, like Champkind. And I
Oh,
just
that's
took
a-
that
that's a
word
good
and I was like,
name.
Yeah, I rate that.
something in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixture of two things, I suppose. But
yeah.
mainly the Gretsch whammy bar.
The Gretsch
There
one.
you go. You heard it here first.
What other band names did you have in mind? Were it like were these in mind, and then you put them in the group chat, or you said them, and it's like there's always that one guy that don't like.
It
like-
took us a while.
Yeah,
to
I think when
come up
I
with
was
a name.
first joined a band, it took like a good 2 months to come up with a name everyone were happy with.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you can write songs, you can
the
write
hardest
titles,
part,
you
I
can come
think.
up with an EP title,
Yeah.
you can come up with the tour that may never even happen name, but then you think of the band name, it's really
Well, because it's like
difficult.
that's gonna be it. If
Exactly.
If
yeah.
we make it, guys, that's
that's
the
going to
name.
be on shirts
And
forever.
like, do we want to be called Fruit Loops for the rest of
That's
our
what
career?
people are going to be getting tattooed on their arms.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
make sure it's
exactly,
good.
yeah. So you were saying other band names.
Yeah, I was really gunning for the name Boatface.
I think you mentioned that, or someone mentioned
That's
that.
amazing.
Last
In
time we were here.
hindsight,
McBoatface.
it's
I
probably.
I like Boatface.
Boatface works.
I
Yeah.
think what
It reminds me
we-
of Trash Boat.
Yeah.
Trash
Oh, yeah.
Boat, yeah.
I think we were at the pub and we were like, I think it was Joe, the bass player, who said, "Go up and say I'm in a band called Boatface and just see how he reacts."
Yeah.
And the guy was just like, yeah, just confused, and we were like, yeah, let's not call ourselves Boatface.
Yeah.
Basically,
I like that though.
That's what he
yeah.
wants.
Well,
I
you
like
could
Champkind
use
better.
it if you want.
If I ever make another band again, yeah, maybe.
Nah, it's
I'll-
got a ring to it.
Yeah.
It's got a ring to it.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
a side project or something.
Yeah.
Boatface.
Maybe, yeah.
Boatface and the Cowboy Builders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
amazing.
great.
That's so
BFA. No, I'm not going to try and do that.
BFA
Yeah.
and CB, and they're all
Yeah.
root notes.
Yeah.
Oh,
The root notes.
Yeah.
A bit of
That's
The
another
root
band
notes,
name.
yeah.
Root notes is good.
So how
I
many,
feel like that might be sort of like a sort of 60s doo-wop band name.
The
The
root
Root
Yeah.
notes.
or like a cover band name?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of
So
the
many,
Roots.
get these written down. There's so many.
Yeah, I in my notes there's like a list of band names from years ago. I used to
Really
be
good.
thinking, no, they're terrible. When we first started, when me and Harry used to be in a band, we were coming up with names in our group chat, and they were absolutely horrible. And then our bass player were like, "Oh, let's go back to the drawing board then." And then we were like, "That's it, the drawing board." And then we came back to it in like 24 hours, and we were like, "That is shit. That's the worst band name I've ever
Don't run
heard."
with that. You know,
Yeah, and we'd like made a logo and everything, and then we'd slept on it. Yeah. Well, I'd drawn one out because I were in I used to resit maths at college, so I were in my maths class and I got it through. And they were like, back to the drawing board, and we were like, "Wait, guys, that's it." And then I
Guys,
drafted
we've got
out
it,
this
we've got
logo
it,
in my
we've got
maths
it.
book and sending it over, and then like a day later, we were like, "That's horrible. I'm so glad we didn't come up with
from knowing what you went on to do, I'm really glad you didn't stick with that.
that." Back to the
Back
drawing board.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't do that one either.
What's kind of like a bit of your history then, just out of curiosity? in
Oh,
terms
there you
of,
go. He's
like,
turned tables on you now.
bands. No, I'm curious.
He's
So,
interviewing
that,
us.
like,
Yeah.
You, so have you been in many bands over the years?
I've only
or-
been in one band. I were in an original band called The Hyde a few years ago.
Okay.
And I'm in a cover band now. So we do that on a weekend, and I enjoy that because it's like every cover gig you go to is just like rammed. because it's like people love cover bands
really
on a
good as
weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm on the wall.
Yeah, that's the only.
Yeah, and you do as well.
Yeah, we do. That's the only part of it I don't enjoy though, like playing them same songs. Like, like when we first started and we'd play like pubs to like 100, 200 people, it was like, oh, this is awesome. This is like the best thing ever. I'm playing to all these. But then like after time goes on and you're doing it a few years, it's like, it just don't look back in anger. Becomes like, sometimes if I'm having an off day and I'm playing, I'm like, I feel a bit bad because I think I should be loving this right now. And it's like, I can't wait to get off.
It does just become like monotonous.
It does,
like
but
monkey holding a cymbals, clashing it, you know, proper performing monkey, just parroting everything.
But at the end of the day, it's what people like it though, don't they?
And it's what I've always wanted to do.
With.
Like
the people turning up, they're not the sorry. Well, you did to me earlier.
No, go on.
The people turning up to watch like cover bands singing all these, you know, Oasis and Kings of Leon and Coldplay and stuff like that. They're not the ones doing it week in, week out, repetitively.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're only seeing that once. They might not go see another cover band for however long.
No, yeah, and you've got to like, you're like the product essentially, and and like, I'll never like lose that energy. You've always got to keep up the energy, but like, it's like, and you've got to remember that like 10 years ago, that's all I wanted to do was to perform. So like to be able to do that and get paid for it is like
well, you become complacent. I think it's called like hedonistic adaptation.
It's whatever you do in it and whatever you do.
Because if we got to the point where we were playing like major festivals all the time, you're like, I can't be asked to go to Glastonbury now. We've just done leave.
Well, that's what it'll be.
You just become complacent.
Yeah, man, definitely.
But that's why I think it's so important to have some kind of like gratitude practice, whether that's like religious or thank you God, or whether that's like writing down or just like reminding yourself like that you are blessed to be in a position to be like doing gigs. And like I try to remind myself every day,
because you do that as well, don't you? You do cover gigs and stuff.
Yeah, well, I got most of my experience. I used to actually be in a band with my dad. I started when I was 16. My dad put a band together to get me a bit of experience because he was a musician for, well, all his life, really. He's passed away now, unfortunately. But yeah, that happened a little bit ago. Yeah. But he got me in this band, and then all of a sudden it just snowballed, and I ended up playing round all the pubs, and I'm so grateful to have gotten that experience, because he kind of imparted all his wisdom that he gained onto me in a way. Yeah. And kind of, there were times doing them gigs, if I'm being honest, where I was like, oh, my mates are at a house party now and I'm playing the Duck and Doddle in fucking Dodlington or some shit.
The Duck and Doddle?
I hope that's a real pub name.
It's not.
The Duck and Doddle in Dodlington.
But in hindsight, the discipline of like having to be playing that song, and then obviously, as you kind of explained, playing like the Oasis cover, and then it's like the 50th time. That, did kind of do me the world of good, but that's kind of how I got my experience. And like, in hindsight, I'm very lucky, like, because, I'd like to think, I've put in loads of hard work, but really I have been just lucky.
But you've enjoyed it as well. And that's all that matters, man.
This is it.
So you've had a very musical background then?
Yeah,
growing
definitely,
up.
Definitely.
Like my parents, none of my family are musical at all. So like, it was more of a thing for me. I wasn't good at anything else in school. So my parents were like, he needs to do something else. And like my mum were like huge into Elvis and stuff. And I'd grown up listening to that. So they were like, get him guitar lessons. And I hated guitar lessons. I didn't want to do it. I'm so grateful my parents made me stick at it. And like, they're not musical. Like your parents, I don't know about your mum, but if your dad was a musician, all he wanted you to do was to like do what he does, and like you love it now. So it was a little bit different for me. But were you music? Did you come
similar
from a
boat as
background?
you, to be honest, Charlie?
Yeah, it's fascinating. That's how I got into it. But some kids just like pick it up, learn to sing, learn to play the guitar, and they're driven and they do it all themselves, and they don't have any lessons. And is that how you?
No, not at all. I wish I was of that ilk. No, it's similar as you, mate, to be honest. Went for my first guitar lesson. I don't remember this. It must have been a traumatic memory for me. But I think I was 8 or maybe 10, so I definitely should be remembering it. It wasn't like when I was 2.
Yeah.
But I went through this lesson and apparently I hated it and I just refused to go back for another lesson. So that was the guitar done.
Oh, right.
And then I only discovered I could sing, I think at the age of 17 or something. You know, just like at that age, it was like house parties. So we'd all be singing Do Me a Favour by the Arctic Monkeys or Inevitably Something by Oasis. And then just from doing that at house parties, you know, one friend would be like, "Oh, you can sing really well. Do you want to come to our party next week?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come to your party next week." And then that was just like the snowball effect, really.
Oh,
the dominoes.
What people wanted you to play at the party.
Yeah, just from house parties and all of us singing, having his first beers and just being rowdy.
Yeah.
Just like people were like, "Oh, you can sing better than the rest of the people in the room." And I was like, "Oh, so right, that must mean something." And then that just kept. I basically just kind of became a bit popular from singing, so I was like, I can make friends.
Of the story is be a good singer.
Sing. So you just found that as you'd have left school. So like how? So
college
like,
even.
Yeah. So like, how was that like in school, like for you? Because like I feel like when I was in school, it wasn't cool. Like I used to hate walking into school with a guitar on my back because I thought everyone's looking at me.
I thought that had been the opposite. I thought everyone would be like, "Oh wow, he's so cool."
No, like I didn't feel cool at all. I felt like a bit of like a geek with a guitar. Like
really,
because like
strange.
I don't know, kids are weird, aren't they?
Kids are weird.
Is it just because it was a guitar, or just because it was an instrument?
Just because it were an instrument.
Did you go to a sports school or something? If everyone was playing sports.
No, I think my school.
Everyone's just walking in with a football.
Maybe it was just my.
Who's that nerd
like
over
out
there?
of America.
This guy likes music.
Get him! Let's get him, boys.
Throw your tennis balls at him.
No, like I don't know. Maybe it was a self-conscious thing, but like all the kids that they were never like, no one ever like, because I sang and used to put videos on YouTube. Like, wasn't one of them like where I used to get lots of girls like that fancied me because I play guitar. It was like all the cool kids were playing football.
Oh no, for sure.
And like I was just me. But
I used to play the horn.
You played the horn.
The horn.
The horn.
The horn. I played a tenor horn for a few years.
Did you?
No, it probably wasn't a few years. Probably a few months.
Really? Did you not play any other instruments? You wish you'd have like got into music.
I do. I tried to get into guitar
because Dom's like been with me a lot. Like I met Dom through.
Not like that.
No, we're not together.
No.
But I met Dom through like my old band, and he used to come and film like gig diaries and stuff. So like and he's been a big part of like if I'll write a song and like he does a lot of my cover artwork now. So I'll send him the song and he'll be able to give me like. I feel like he has quite a lot of musical knowledge, to be honest, to say he hasn't done music. So like I wonder like sometimes if you wish you'd have got into it.
I tried to go down the guitar route because it's just like it's the bass line for it. But I was just going through self-taught.
Pardon the pun.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
But I was going through self-taught. I can't remember, a few years ago, for like 13, 14 or something. And I just like even now. I just can't get my head around. I can't stick it. It's just like I can't make my fingers make those shapes. It doesn't seem humanly possible.
Yeah, I get that. So I think you just get used to it.
Yeah,
so did you have guitar lessons or did you just?
I had a single guitar lesson when I set 8 or 10. I just learned. I just after that put that out of my memory. I don't even remember going through it.
I feel like them power chords are like the hardest things to get onto. Like
I can't do power chords.
I
can bar.
It's like.
I don't power chord me. It's only you just do.
But once you can get that, and then your middle ones like your majors or your minors, like your sailing.
I think that's once you can differentiate major and minor, which is just in most cases just dropping a finger out, then you're kind of on a good little track then.
Yeah.
But for me it was just going off that, singing at a house party and then get invited to another house party, and then that was just a snowball effect there, and then. In college, just had some friends who were starting to form a band. And were like, "Do you want to join this band?"
You did.
So the first band I think I was in was when I was 17 or 18, and then just continued doing a couple more band projects, loosely with the same bunch of friends. This is going back to that drummer that I was on about, by the way, when we had a lot of drummers coming and going.
Yeah.
And some of them just couldn't stick around.
Yeah. Well, it's not changed there, has it, with drummers? But
But yeah, all self-taught.
Yeah,
all self-taught, and I think that's we were on about this before we got here today. Actually, about well, in fact, you were on about even in the podcast about having me lacking the theory knowledge. I think is a good thing when you're together as a team trying to formulate something, because like take for example, if you all actors or if you all got into a music college, then the idea of the conservatoire or wherever you're going to be educated is for them to break you down and then rebuild you in what they imagine is the successful business formula.
And nobody really knows, do they?
Exactly. No one knows. It's just you're just trusting this faculty to break you down and then reshape you to think like they think. And that's not always
copy and paste.
Yeah, people like to put their trust in people
and that's
who think
good.
they know more than what they do. But I don't from my experience, I don't think anybody really knows the formula of how to be a star or how to like, as long as you're consistent.
I think it's about being able to mix as well. I'm not necessarily like completely, poo-pooing that kind of formula. Like, obviously there's a great deal of musicians who are famous because they went to this conservatoire and then they've managed to build themselves based on that, and then they're incredibly successful in whatever they do. But like, if you're a band, like 4 of you, and you're all just like an Elcon band, I think you run the risk of being a bit too narrow-minded. The blinkers are on. We only think this way because we've all been educated to think this way.
Yeah.
But obviously, music is for everyone. Music is subjective. So, not everyone who's listening is listening being like, oh, this sounds like this structure. Or, people are listening to music just because it sounds nice. It sounds, it's as simple as that. So that's why I think
if it
not having
sounds good,
theory
it
is good.
sounds good. That's
exactly
the bottom line,
So it's good to obviously have someone who's an expert in the theory and stuff. It's vital. But it's also good to have a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Because you can tap into different minds instead of all of you having the same conservatoire mind. Then there's not really much room for deviation in that kind of bracket.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys are nailing it, and I'm
got it down, got it on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to like seeing where it goes for you. What's next? Have you got gigs lined up? Have you haven't played a gig together yet? Have you?
Not officially. We did do like a little bit of a performance in the conservatoire in Leeds. Ironically,
where you told them,
where
you said,
"No, give them a piece of my mind." Like, how dare you teach these kids?
Nah, but we did like a little mini performance. But yeah, we've got obviously depending on when the podcast comes out, will have determined whether or not we've done said gigs.
Gig
but we've got to say like we've just kind of come about as a band. We've got a good few out of town gigs. We're playing in Manchester, Barnsley.
Yep.
We're playing Lending Rooms.
Yeah, a couple in Leeds
later in the year in Leeds. Yeah.
We should tap into Wakefield since me and Sam.
Wakefield. I want Wakefield to pick up because Wakefield
to pick up.
It used to thrive years and years ago. I don't even think I was around for the music scene.
I don't think
when
I
it was popping.
Yeah.
So that's where you started off in Wakefield, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. But I feel like we were quite lucky because I just feel like because it was one of our first gigs when we started in Wakefield, everybody came. So
where did you?
We did like Henry Boone's.
Oh, that's nice, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. So I'd recommend that if you ever want to. But I feel like Wakefield's now picking up because it's just got that venue 23 going.
Yeah.
They've got like.
There's a lot of potential for it.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and they've got that tile like we've talked about.
North looks really nice.
North. Yeah, they want to do stuff in there.
Yeah. I honestly, from my subjective experience, I think that the level of talent in Wakefield is actually really high. Like every time I've been to an open mic, it's just been wall to wall, like really good players.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is because
built differently there, mate.
It's like there must be some kind, unless it's just a coincidence, but Leeds obviously undeniably has some really good players as well. But the open mics are like a little bit kind of inconsistent, whereas Wakefield, like there's a lot of good kind of artists, but obviously there doesn't seem to be that strong scene, and maybe it just needs some people to just take the initiative and
put a gig on in Wakefield.
I am a small fry events promoter myself.
I
run a jam night each week, a little plug. Tuesday, Northern Guitars.
Northern Guitars.
But you can cut that out.
No. Go promote what you want, bro. I might cut my promo
I'd love
out.
to run an event with you. 100%.
Yeah.
Or as the band as well.
Yeah.
As in the band.
Yeah.
Because Sam, the drummer, he's also. Oh, that's another one. We're playing Hi-Fi soon in Leeds. And Sam's running that himself. So Sam, the drummer. So we're all sort of like. It sounds like we're all very small fry event guys.
No,
so
but
maybe
if
together,
you can get into that and like put events on and stuff like that, that's a big part of it as well. Like, because like I feel like promoters, I don't feel like they always like deliver.
Yeah, you're
but
leaving.
You've got
hands,
and you're
basically.
waiting for them to send you the next email. Do you want to play this? But whereas you guys set it up yourself, you've got full control. Who's supporting you, and it's just, and then 100%. You take all the money at the end of the night.
100%.
I think that's the key thing about being a band in this day and age as well. To
the
be
money,
honest.
the money's there's money to be made, but it's good, how you do it, innit?
How you business yourselves, because it's not about just being this guy's really good drummer, this guy's really good singer, this guy's it's about this guy is also really good on social media. This guy's got a great network of contacts. It's about being proactive, like, whereas I suppose the expectation of a band is just these are a bunch of guys who can play music well. But the truth is it's a business. A lot going on behind the scenes. Well, if you don't have a manager or a promoter, which you don't really necessarily need, if, like I said, you have your repertoire, your contacts, your own network, yourself. It's about you making the business happen yourself, basically, is what I'm saying. I don't think you need
nobody's
going to
do it for you without wanting something out of you.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to... Yeah, that's like everyone in the industry wants something out of
vultures.
Yeah, they are. Vultures. I think they are, and if you guys start to blow up, you'll see it more. I'm not saying I've seen it, but like, I have seen it, but not firsthand. And like, it's very selfish industry, innit? And yeah, I just think stick together and do it yourself, and you'll do well.
I'm not a fan of the business model of like. The whole ticket sales, and then like you have to bring people, because to me, don't get me wrong, I completely understand it from the promoter perspective, but to me that basically that totally devalues the artist. Just them simply playing is worth nothing without bringing people. But what happened, like, if you felt like you say had the next Jimi Hendrix or whatever, and you were a promoter, your job as the promoter should be like, guys, you need to come see this guy. This guy's fucking Jimi Hendrix. Instead of, right, I've paid for the venue. You guys all better sell the tickets. I'm going to fill my pockets. I really don't like that, but I don't want to waffle on.
It got to a point where it was like promoters used to email us and be like, how many tickets can you sell? And it's like, we used to be honest every single time, because honest is the best policy, right?
Absolutely, mate. Yep.
And we were like, not going to lie, we're new to Leeds, maybe like 10 tickets, and we'd never hear from them again. So then eventually we used to be like 80 tickets, 100 tickets, and we'd get on these gigs straight away. And then obviously we couldn't sell 80, 100 tickets.
Did the bailiffs come round?
It felt like it was some of them. We had a few Facebook statuses written about us. Like, it were like these like 40-year-old men who were promoters, and like we headlined, I think we headlined a venue. I'm not going to say it actually, just in case, but we did one, and it were a shambles a few years ago. Venue. Yeah, the mystery venue. But the promoter set up a gig straight down the road with this bigger band, and everybody went to. It was around the time where everybody like knew everybody, so all the crowd like. Went to this, you coming to this gig this weekend, this gig, didn't matter who, but like all the crowd and all the people who went to gigs in Leeds went to this one that night, and then the promoter emailed us the next day and wrote a status about us, and it was like, it was one of them statuses where it was like not directed at us, but you could not mentioning us, but you could tell it was like
throwing shade at you.
Yeah, throwing shade. It's like you're 40 years old.
I'm not going to mention names, but here's the physical description of these three members of the band.
Fuck ticket sales.
Now the promoter, in my opinion, the promoter, the art of the promoter has been lost, because the promoter needs to promote the gig. Like an Eddie Hearn, for example. Sorry to cut you off. Like an Eddie Hearn. Do you know Eddie Hearn? The boxing guy?
Yeah.
He's like, he bigs it up to the point where like you might not even care, but he makes you care about it.
And I think it's their job to put it into the Facebook ads and the like they've got to use these social media platforms to their advantage to help the bands. And yeah, it's been lost for years, I think.
It needs to change. I don't know how, but
unfortunately, I don't know if it ever will though, because they're so greedy. People are greedy, and it's a money thing, isn't it? And if like it's easier for them to get a band that will sell them 100 tickets than it will to give a small band a shot.
But it's just not sustainable long term, because that's
maybe only them guys will realise.
I just wanted to say one more shout out to Liam Iliff. He's the one who engineered, mixed and mastered the EP.
Yeah.
The EP is called Mojo. It should be out on all platforms. It's coming out 7th of May.
7th of May. So this will probably be out just after, but if you haven't heard the EP, check it out, because it's a banging product.
Oh, thank you, man.
I don't know why I chose them words, but yeah, it's a great product. Yeah. I'm a bit slow with my words.
Top shelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a classic project.
No, but yeah, guys, anything else now?
No, just apart from thank you very much for having us on.
Yeah.
And
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do next, and we'll be in touch. And
nice one.
Yeah, great. This has been Champkind. Thank you very much for watching the first episodes of the Hide Sounds podcast. This is Dom.
I think we've been through that one.
Yeah, new co-host.
Well, it's not new because it's like the first.
Yeah.
There was one before me, and then it was me, then it'll be the new one.
This will be cut out anyway. I don't know where I'm going. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. You can find these guys on social media. I'll put all the tags on the screen right now. Anything else?
Just
look after yourselves.
Buy the product.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Peace and
really
love.
Good, buy it.
Cheers, guys.
Nice one, man.